So there I was, lying in bed on a peaceful Sunday night when I decided to open up StockTwits. What I saw shocked me. Mullen Army. Trending. As in Mullen the car company.
Mullen is doing a test drive tour.
Turns out, I was right. Why was there a token about debatably one of the worst run companies of all time? And why was it absolutely mooning? This is the bizarre story of Mullen Automotive and the cult that went too far. If you haven't heard of Mullen, that's probably for the best. In essence, it's a penny stock which peaked in popularity around the time of the electric vehicle bubble when Tesla reigned supreme, NIO was priced like the one, and companies like Lucid Motors were gaining steam. It was the perfect time for investors to start trying to find the next big thing, and that's where Mullen Automotive stepped in. Now, the full history of Mullen would demand a long documentary because I have never seen a story like it. Actually, it makes Memecoin ruggers look like angels. So if you do want to see that, let me know in the comments. But until that potential documentary, here's a brief synopsis. The company is run by this guy, David Memecoin. He makes millions each year in salary, stock compensation, and other interesting ways. While his company has been diluted so much that if you bought 33 quadrillion shares before May of 2016, you would have one single share today. What could this company possibly do to perform that badly? Apparently, Mullen makes electric cars, but since its inception, it hasn't really manufactured or sold much of anything. In fact, I remember a few years ago, the StockTwits community was rife with excitement because of a tour where they would showcase their brand new Mullen 5 car to potential buyers and dealerships. This basically involved driving the car around an empty parking lot, but as you can tell, investors loved it. Now, the Mullen 5 was actually cancelled in 2024, but why when it looks so damn fast? In 2023, the company generated $366,000 from vehicle sales, but only $90,000 of that was profit, which in itself is a generous word. They had $215 million in overheads and $700 million of financing and other charges. Memecoin reportedly received $48 million in compensation for a great year's work. Now, because they don't actually make money, and they only seem to double down on anything that's going wrong by buying new plants and acquiring companies that they value at over $200 million more than what they're actually worth, and a long list of other decisions that make as much sense as the Lost finale, Mullen have been in a spiral of diluting shareholders to create more capital. Without getting lost in stock jargon only Michael Burry could properly understand, Mullen end up paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars each year just to create new money that technically isn't debt. Yet. Now, this naturally dilutes shareholders, and with the stock continuing to plummet because of no foreseeable turnaround, they have to keep doing this again and again and again. While this is happening, investors can only sit and watch as more and more promises get broken, cars go unsold or worse, not even produced, and the CEO continues to receive a ton of cash for absolutely nothing. Sorry, I mean a great year's work. Now, if that doesn't scream a buy, I don't know what does. So why would a company with more red flags than my ex develop a cult following? And how does this link to a crypto meme coin that went to millions? Twice. Well, our answer really lies in the timing of Mullen's big pop. Of course, the EV bubble was around the same time as the GME craze, which means comments like short squeeze, naked shorting, dark pools, and basically any other possible reason why the stock you bought won't go up apart from the fact it's a terrible company were aplenty. With Mullen's price action being so volatile as a penny stock, it didn't take long for a wave of optimistic degens to hop on board. Now, instead of facing reality after the first reverse split, most holders are down 98% or worse, and the blame for that on social media forums at the time fell largely on this short squeeze level mentality and horrible hedge funds, which naturally forced a group of like-minded and slightly uninformed investors to continue holding the stock in hopes that it will go up. And sure, while it popped 200% a day sometimes, it has done nothing but obliterate holders in the long term. Nowadays, the community has pieced together exactly how they were misled and what's happened, and some can even laugh about it. But there are still some who believe. In the summer of 2024, two meme coins were launched called Mullen Army, one on Ethereum and one on Solana. Both hilariously rugged, as is par for the course with anything attached to the Mullen name. And while the company promised electric cars, its investors were given electric scams in the way of a crypto coin. Now, this isn't the first time that meme stocks have bridged over to the world of crypto. I found Unity at 5k and documented it on this channel before it proceeded to run up to 13 million. GME is a coin that happily sits in the millions to this day, and we've seen things like Palantir and even Bed Bath & Beyond all get meme coin equivalents. But unlike GME, Palantir or Unity, Mullen is just an awful company. There's no reason to hold the meme coin outside of how well known it is for being so bad, unless you're really bought into the community element and believe that this group of thousands of degens can push it higher. The sad part is that these coins were positioned as a way for the delusional degens to recoup losses and push a token about the company organically without having to worry about the shorts or hedge funds or, again, any of those other reasons mentioned. But not only did they lose everything on the stock, they then lost everything on the meme coin. But fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, and somehow, someway, both tokens started trending again. Championed by an X account called Mullen Army, sharing its name with the meme coin, the Solana coin ran 20,000% higher between August 2nd and August 3rd, before once again going on to lose most of its value. Now, the influencer is adamant that he never sold the first time, and we haven't really had any confirmation about his activity the second time, although the bull posting has somewhat died down. But if he has round-tripped a 20x play not once but twice, I can totally see how he's still holding the Mullen stock. The coins on both occasions felt like blatant pump and dumps, and there is one of two possibilities as to what happened here. Either these were cabal launches designed to prey on the vulnerable holders who would throw money into this without even questioning what they were buying simply because it has the Mullen name on it. Or it's an organic push from the holders of Mullen who end up ruining yet more investors' lives in a very ironic sense, while they're trying to recoup a small portion of the money they lost. Stock cults like this are dangerous. James Jarney did a remarkable job documenting the GameStop and Bed Bath & Beyond cults, but even with those, there was at least a thesis, no matter how outlandish it was. There is just no possible way any holder of Mullen feels bullish enough to hold the token, other than the fact that they've abandoned hope and are completely trapped underwater and facing reality of them never getting that money back. And seeing a meme coin trending on StockTwits with the Mullen name slapped on would give a false sense of hope, which ultimately pans out the same way as the stock does. Whether they're being taken advantage of or they're the ones taking the advantage, this is still very sad. It's a community that has lost so much money through their own hopeless confidence in the company, and then to do that again in an unregulated area just feels really disingenuous, and it's a sad state of affairs for anyone that got wrapped up in this. The coin isn't big enough to draw eyes from the likes of CoffeeZilla, and with the company already in deep waters with multiple lawsuits, yet it being clear that investors aren't really in line to get much of that money back, there just isn't much that's going to be done to cover this. Just like its line of electric cars, most of the money poured into the meme coin will end up in a scrap heap, or in the pockets of those people with a much bigger plan. For now, the company Mullen has rebranded to the name Bollinger Motors following its acquisition, and the stock continues to absolutely plummet. And before you ask, yes, there was a meme coin about that too, and it rugged from 40k down to 5. Some things never change.